Family. I want to talk today about change. The only absolutely certainty in this life is that things will continue to change and shift and transform all of the time. And how can you become comfortable in change? How can you become the eye of the storm when chaos is ensuing all around? And this is it's like our great work right now. There's so much happening out there that unless we cultivate some degree of inner stability, the emotions and the narratives of the world out there will cause our emotions to begin to be pulled outward, and we'll be pulled into the chaos. And when we're pulled into the chaos, we're not of service. How we can best serve is to do our inner work. And that means being in what I call like Jedi mastery training of how to stay in this divine neutrality, in equanimity, no matter what's happening out there. And we really do have to train for this because we have been conditioned from the time we're born to seek this comfort and this stability and this security in life. And it's illusory. It doesn't actually exist. Anything that you continue to cultivate for comfort, if you really dive into it, can be taken away at any moment, whether that's a home, whether that's a person in a relationship, whether it's a job, it can all go, even a savings. So how can we become okay with the chaos? We can begin to find our core stability by actually feeling the fear that comes up within us when we begin to explore the inner realms of what happens if and when this goes away. What happens if every one of my anchor points that I have put down energetically, that I cling to, what if they start to be pulled up, and what if they go? And then begin to explore the feelings within that arise when you begin to feel into what it is to let those go and to feel this unsafe place of what would it be like if I didn't have that security, that control. And as you begin to explore that, what happens is in your body, emotions begin to arise. And then the mind wants to run away with all kinds of scenarios, right? This is what worry is. Worry is placing very alternate scenarios in a future timeline that could possibly occur. And these are the moments that we have to begin to master our mind, to begin to master those thoughts, to begin to create some space around the one who is not attached to all of the narrative of the mind, but rather can kind of create space and watch it as it goes on its own journey and bring awareness to the recognition that it's not actually true. It's diving in to question everything that you believe is true and beginning to unravel those constructs which can be so deeply embedded into our cells that we don't even realize that we unconsciously hold these ideas and these beliefs around the security of our life. And one of the greatest ways to begin to unravel that is to actually meditate and to contemplate on death. We're so afraid to face the death process, to lose others, to contemplate that at some point this body will not exist. And that's exactly what we need to do. Because the more that we dive into our fears around death and begin to allow them to dissolve, it's then that we can begin to step into essentially freedom. It's the facing off with the depth of our inner fears. When we can face off with those places and fully allow the fears that we hold to come to the surface, and then hold ourselves within them. Just embrace them, accept them. Just be with whatever wants to be shown to you, as if you're watching it on a screen. This unfolding life that we live is a grand adventure. It is not a finite life, even though it seems to be. Ultimately, we are eternal beings. This body will decay and it will die and it will go back into our beautiful Mother Earth. But the conscious awareness that exists within this vessel is eternal. There is no end to the adventures that our consciousness will go to play in, to create in. And if we can somatically begin to imprint that remembering within our bodies, we actually unravel all these distortions, all these densities that keep us very contracted in the biology of our belief system. And if you see that, like the box that you have constructed, that you live in, and that as you fully look into and feel all of those places, what happens is you begin to loosen them. Something that was really tight and contracted begins to loosen. As an acupuncturist, I often work with people and put needles in their meridians, which is their energetic pathways in the body, to release stagnation, to move stuck energy in certain pathways. And when that energy moves, often what happens is this emotional release, or like a somatic release, a shaking of a moving of the body. And that's the body's way of actually expelling energy that it no longer needs to carry. And when we look at the gene keys, for instance, a system of wisdom that deeply resonates with me and has been a huge part of my journey, the shadow of chaos. It's like, if we cannot get comfortable with chaos, then we're going to lead a very difficult life, because we're always going to be fighting against the flow of where life wants to bring us. Because for life to bring you to the pinnacle of what you actually deeply desire in your heart, it comes through chaos, because it comes through breaking down all of the systems of limitation and belief and boundaries that you've held for so long. And so it's like you have to let go of everything that has caused you to be in this finite reality. It has to break down so that essentially you can expand into that awareness of boundlessness, that more vast awareness, that higher perspective view that moves you from that shadow state into the gift, and the gift of that key is innovation. It's the third gene key. And it's like innovation is life is always trying to move itself forward. This game of life that we play is so that our souls can move through an evolutionary process, so that we can innovate ways that don't work and evolve. And life is always moving forward into an evolutionary state. And especially these times that we're in right now. This is all about the great change, the great unraveling of all these old systems that we've all played in, that we've all constructed, that have been about suffering and competition and survival of the fittest. Well, we're moving beyond that now. And our DNA is in fact mutating, and it's asking us to begin to step into a higher frequency. One that is made more from unity, from the knowing that we are all powerful beings of spirit, that we are not just these bodies. And so the innovation is life itself pushing you forward out of your comfort zone, so that you can break out and break free from this limited construct. And so any place in your life where you get really comfortable. And for most people, they try and make everything in their life comfortable and secure. Whenever you get into the state of deep comfort, something in your outer world is going to appear to shake that up. I call it the spiritual 2x4 over the head, because your spirit, your being, wants to move into something vaster. It doesn't want to stagnate. Nothing in nature, nothing in our body is not stagnant. Everything is constantly moving. Your breath in and out, your blood through your veins, your water metabolism, everything in nature, the seed, everything is growing, it's evolving, it's coming to higher and higher states. And so examine anywhere that you are trying to feel comfortable and secure, and lovingly, with deep compassion for that part of your inner child that is really terrified to step into something that's so unknown. Because one way or another, these coming years are going to force so much of humanity to step into a higher echelon, something that they have not known. And the only way to do that is to jump into that unknown place and trust that you are being led, that you can't plan ahead, that you can't have an agenda. You know, there's this dilemma in the shadow of like always having an agenda. And if you can trust that life is leading you somewhere greater than you could have ever imagined, it allows you to begin to untether and to just loosen your grip as you pull up all those anchor points and you really feel unsafe. And can you find just this coherent, still place inside of you that no matter that you feel unsafe or fearful or scared, that actually at the deepest part of your being, you are always safe. There is only your mind and your ego that doesn't feel safe. And so just begin by letting yourself become aware of all the places that you are trying to make something last forever, make something unchangeable, grasping at something that you feel that if it was to leave you, you couldn't survive, or you would have no idea what you would do. It's like we can't know how powerful and how strong we are unless we move through these periods of change, of chaos, of initiation, because it is in the fires that the diamond is forged. To know your strength and your light and your tenacity and your courage, it has to be challenged. And at the depth of your being, that's what you want, because that's what life is all about, and that's what you came here for. You didn't come to live this mediocre life where everything is just okay and comfortable. When you're in that space, it's fun for a while. And then there's something inside of you that wants to break through, that wants to be challenged, that wants to create, that wants to go beyond the boundaries of the mind. You don't want to be just stuck in the boundaries of your mind. You want to know your infiniteness. It's why you can have everything that you ever dreamed of and get to the top of the mountain and find that you still feel just as empty as when you had nothing. Because what you're actually seeking is unity with the divine being that you are. Seeking that state of boundlessness, of limitlessness. Soul is always seeking itself to come back to that which it came from. This involution of spirit into the body and this evolution of the body into the spirit is a magnificent journey. So we come into these bodies veiled, forgetting how absolutely magical we are in our ability to create and birth worlds. And we come into this finite little world that all it wants to do is put us in a box and limit us. Our government, our education, all of it conditioning us to just play it safe. And for anybody that this resonates with, it's like there's something inside you that's pulling you to move to the path that is less traveled, to open up that knowing of this karmic journey that is calling you forth, the hero's journey, to know something deeper and more palpable and more real. It's like, wake up in the dream. To tell yourself every moment of this reality, I'm awake in the dream, I'm awake in the dream, I'm awake in the dream. And truly begin to awaken to how this whole world is a construct for you to play in, to discover the vastness of yourself. And so let it happen, because if it doesn't, you're just going to come back and you're going to play the same game again. Every single thing that appears in your outer reality is your master teacher. Let it teach you. Let yourself go fully into it, and let yourself go into the fear of the unknown, because that journey is miraculous, and you find such expansion and awareness on the other side. And it becomes like this high frequency addiction in a sense, because the more you discover that you are this limitless being, the more that you call forth whatever initiation is needed to lead you to the higher seeing, the higher echelon, to meet more parts of yourself and to challenge yourself more. It's no longer about being safe and secure. It's about the adventure that you came here for this life. So begin to explore that, to meditate, to contemplate. You can look at the third gene key, from chaos to innovation, and then back to innocence. And that innocence is like you've traveled this whole life journey, and you come back to that innocent childlike one, but with a degree of wisdom that it's like you come back to that playful innocence, but yet you know that you've traversed this magnificent journey, and you know, actually, like that child, that you're actually here to play, to enjoy this incredible place to create whatever it is that we want, where Divine Creator is just like, here, my children, go play in the Garden of Eden. And we're coming to the end of playing in the scarcity and the powerlessness and the suffering. We are moving into a chapter of creating through bliss. There's as many nuances to experiencing through our creations of bliss as there is to our creations of suffering. And we've played all of the suffering out. We are ending that chapter and we're starting a new one. But in order to do that, you have to let yourself mutate and move through anything that you're still hanging on to that's keeping you in that resonance of fear, because as it drops away, it's like you come into a whole new place to create from, seeing through the eyes of the divine, the whole play, the whole Leela, as seen as the divine comedy it is. And it's sacred and it's beautiful. So dive in deep, all the way into everything that holds you back. If something is holding you back, then go in that direction. Every little decision that you make, are you making it from fear or are you making it from love? Because when you make decisions from love, the path of miracles begins to open and unfold in a way that you can't even fathom, and it's glorious, and that's where you're going. So the third gene key, moving from chaos to innovation, the innovation of the human moving into the divine and back into the innocence where we play again in the Garden of Eden. If you're interested in having a personal gene key reading, seeing your own soul's template, working with me one-on-one to dive in and unravel the path of your soul so that you can bring a deeper awareness to it, please send me a message. the.gaia.guardian.com is how you can get a hold of me, and I'll place a link down in the comments. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and wishing you so much love and blessings as we transverse this journey in love together, hand in hand, heart to heart. We are changing everything right now. Thank you for saying yes to coming to Earth. I love you so much.